We're going to the moon. This is happening today, you guys. It's the Artemis 2 mission's about to take off. And that means that humans are going back to the moon for the first time in 50 years. Why are we talking about that on File New? Because one, I love space, but two, because there's a lot of cool design things about it. And I'm posting a video about it later today on Reels and Instagram and whatnot, but I do want to talk about it here for a bit. We can also get your feedback on everything. We're going to start off the show with rebrands and a bunch of different of the best brands that I ran into this week when I was looking for different stories. There's a lot of really cool design things happening. If you're interested in finding any of these links, they will be in the raindrop, but let's get into it. The moon, man, I can't believe it's been 50 years. I say that as if I've been alive for it, but humans have not gone to the moon in this capacity since 1968, I think it was, or the 19th, I don't know. But that was during the Apollo missions, and that's obviously the one when we got whipping around. Also when they were actually landing boots on the moon, and they were also just taking pictures. There's several different ones, like Apollo I think 13 actually even missed it. But this time it is the Artemis mission, and you can see here that there are very similar logos for it. Artemis is the umbrella parent child for all of the missions that are in this next phase of things that have started happening. So the one that's launching today is actually the second one. So it's Artemis 2. The first one was unmanned, and this one is going to be manned, which is a really big deal. They're not stepping down on the moon, but what's really interesting about this is they're going the farthest away from Earth any human has ever gone. And it is all part of a way to be able to test a new flight system that they have with a new capsule. It's a way to, check to make sure all technologies are working, and just kind of get back out there, among a bunch of other things that are going on, because there are new technologies that, haven't gone this far, at least especially with humans. So there's 4 astronauts, and they are all heading out to space. I think the launch is a little bit after 6 today. So that means hopefully you guys can, watch the live stream and not have to impose on work or anything. But these are the 4 astronauts here. We've got 1 Canadian. I think the 3 other ones are American. And they have had a fun photo shoot situation here. And this is one of the reasons you're like, why is this in Rebrand? Because the way that they're going about actually putting this out into the world is very cinematic. It's very theatrical. It is extremely looks like anything else that is very sci-fi. This could easily be a poster for Interstellar or Gravity or something. Jacob's in the chat excited about Canada. He says, my question is why? And we'll get to that in just a second actually too. And also, why has it been so long? Also, I'm waiting for everyone to be like, we never went to the moon to begin with. So save your conspiracy theories, or actually put them in chat. I would love to hear. But NASA has a really great resource of just looking through and through the mission and finding all different ways to showcase the rocket, the astronauts themselves, and it's cool to see how they have kind of adapted into this theatrical branding and being able. I'm pulling up the website right now, where if when you go to their website and you can see that it goes to each person, they have really found creative and exciting ways to photograph them. You can look through all the posters, and there's a bunch of different stuff that you can go through. But I mean, look at this is an official poster from. NASA's always been kind of at the front of cool design, a lot of the sci-fi and stuff that we have now. It's probably pressure under the load of so many people looking at it, but you can see it right here. We'll zoom in this way. Yeah. It's like a, kind of a speed thing as they're going. And it's just so cool. But I take that because the last time we did a very similar mission was Apollo 8. So as you probably know, they make patches for every single mission they do. So this is mission 8. Apollo 8, which was when they went and they kind of went around the moon and came back before they then later ended up landing on the moon itself. And their patch was this triangular one with a giant red 8, see, because it was Apollo 8, going around both the moon and the Earth. It has the 3 astronauts that were in the spacecraft on the front of it, and the Earth is in the front and center. You can also see that it hugs Earth and really puts America in the center and like the most predominant vision of this entire thing. I point that out because when we're going to be looking at the new Artemis 2 patch, it is a different approach. And one last look at some of the branding that they have. This is an official video from NASA. That they have these backlit, foggy, streaky, dramatic, kind of approaching videos that are introducing the astronauts, and they're kind of welcoming on the idea of going on this trip. And it's Oliver says that's not moon. That's not real. The moon isn't real. All right, so we're gonna have to come back to that too later. But then let's take a look at the Apollo, the Artemis 2 patch. So the Artemis 2 patch looks like this. And when I go ahead and I'm going to expand this, it was designed by this painter, Gregory Manches, and he is a phenomenal painter. You can see that he does a lot of really cool stuff. He has a really broad range of what he can do, but he also was the one that was tasked with creating this logo. So we can see that there's a bunch of different sketches for what it kind of started out as, what he kind of started to refine it to, and then also where it landed. So this is the official patch that they're wearing on their suits as they go up into space today. And I want to call out a few things here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to side by side bring up the Apollo 8 patch. So we'll copy this here, and let's actually just bring them out onto their own thing, because there's some things that I want to show you guys. I mean, first and foremost, the most obvious thing that you can probably see is that there's this red line, right? Now, the red line here is not only a reference to Apollo 8, but it's also a reference to the Artemis umbrella branding here. And you'll notice the big difference here between anything that's Artemis and Apollo 8 is that, one, I mean, Apollo 8 is an 8 because it was Apollo 8, but also was a big focus on going to the moon and coming back. Artemis is a whole idea that it is a stepping stone to Mars. So the whole idea is to go be able to set up some spot on the moon to then be able to then, I think, launch off of moon to then go to Mars. So their whole imagery here is the idea of this kind of like swivel up and away off to Mars. You can see here that with the Artemis logo, like this is kind of the Earth, this is it spooning up, and this is going past the moon. The A is, a launch, and it's past the moon to say that it's going past the moon. And even though it's kind of reverse here, and this would look like, it's going past Earth, the idea is still there as it's going through. Something that was really interesting when Gregory was working on this logo for this patch is that because it's Artemis 2 and they have 2 Roman numerals after the A to stand for Artemis 2, is the fact that it actually spells out all, so ALL. And the crew, when he was working with them to create this patch, really wanted to focus on the idea that like they wanted that to be visible, and they wanted that to be up front and center, to be like, this is all, this is for everybody, this is for everybody back on Earth. And you can see here that the Earth is here front and center here because it's the focus. Here, this is the actual view that they're going to be having from the capsule. So they're going to have a unique first human eyes view of this exact angle for seeing the moon and its really cratery side onto the Earth, which, like I said, they're going to be the farthest away from Earth any human has ever been. So they wanted to capture that, and they wanted to also put the focus on the moon. But my favorite thing about all of this is if you look at the Earth, remember when I called out earlier that this has like North America right here and it's very America-centric? One, you can tell it's Earth without any continent, so it's just the whole Earth. But if you look at it, you'll also see that this is the exact same cloud formation as the picture of the Earth that was taken on Apollo 8, which is like the inspiration for this whole thing. So if you look at it, like you have the swirl here and it's going up, you've got the swirl here and it's going up. And that was all part of design. It was a way of being able to call back to it. Also, this was like a monumental photo that was taken, and it was an idea that really brought the Earth together. You know, it brought everyone together as one. It was taken on a Hasselblad, which I know we've talked about before. And I was just really impressed when I was looking into this to the extent and the thought and design that went into such a cool look-in patch. All of the Artemis ones are going to be triangular. You can see that in the past. A lot of them have been circular, with the obviously exception being Apollo 8, which is there. And you can see that also they have a lot more capabilities of being able to print more exaggerated and detailed things on the patches themselves, because back in the 60s, they were limited by the technology that was able to print on the embroidered patches themselves. I also brought in pictures of the original Apollo 8 crew just to show you that, like, yeah, they really took photos like, they had it taken at, a Macy's, where they just kind of like, all right, family pictures, get together and just sit there. And then now, of course, you have the ones where they're like backlit with fog and light and everything in between. Very excited about that. Like I said, the launch is somewhere around 6. I think that the branding for it looks really cool. It looks modern. It looks exciting. It got me excited about it. And I hope that you guys are also excited about it. Will you guys be watching? I will actually, it's not the most designy question ever, but do you plan to watch Artemis 2 launch tonight live? I'm going to start that poll. And I hope you all vote yes, because it could be, it's cool. It's monumental, they're planning on landing on the moon next year. So, because they said 2027 and it is 2026. So if this goes well, they plan on landing then. Moving along to much smaller matters here. Sylvain is a branding agency, and they recently just announced a update to Etsy. Etsy is the person-to-person sales commerce site where a lot of people sell vintage stuff, handmade things, and is known for their orange. They've kind of always had this really strong orange, and they recently announced this campaign where they have just refined it ever so slightly. You might be looking at it at first and being like, what is the difference? These look exactly the same, because you can look at the before and after here. But I went ahead and I overlapped the two on top of each other here. Black being the most the common denominator, blue being the previous one, the orange being the new one. The biggest one, I think, that is obvious to everyone is the Y, but the Y has changed in shape because it is now more reflective of the curvature of the S and the T. So up until this point, like, you had the sharpness of the E and the Y, and it felt a little bit different than the T and the S. Now they have rounded everything out and made it to feel more cohesive as a letter form. You can see that there are rounding up here at the top at the crosshairs of the T. You can see that they extended kind of the flare out on the middle of the E. They have the rounded edges for each side. They also kicked out the S a little bit more to fill in that space between the T and the S. And then, yeah, this negative space is taken care of because now they have this bowl that goes around the bottom left and then kind of completes it, which means that they can then bring in the leg of it and not have to have it extend so far underneath. Then we have just a little bit of some brand mood boarding that they have. They're really good at being able to keep the colors, keep the vibe of Etsy and the human-made creation. They are working with a different collection of like a library of shapes. Now, I thought this was interesting because they posted this video, and there's one other story that we're also going to talk about, which is actually TikTok today, that has a similar brand approach where I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can just see all the different Illustrator features here. And there was actually, we're going to kind of, skip ahead. I'm going to make sure I can pull this up really quick. Wait, where did it go? Basically, where TikTok has done a path expand of having their logo then create this shape that I just don't think is that effective. But I do think that here, when they're using these shapes, it is cool. So they have it next to the lamp here. There are ways that, it's taking the square and it's switching it up. They also have a few more videos here. You can see this is the changing of it. This is the different colors. It's a very broad range of colors, which like I think kind of expands outside of the idea of like, I don't know, just having like full on brand colors. But it also still feels cohesive and still feels like it's a singular identity. So I think it just will take, I don't know, it'll take a lot to say like this is what is important for this to remain the brand, because if you are working with like people who aren't designers or who aren't very familiar with it, then they're not necessarily going to be able to replicate that entire thing. But I do want to talk about the TikTok brand here that we were talking about. So this is it was posted on Brand Inquirer, which is a great Instagram page if you have not found them yet. And they post a bunch of updates to different brands. This is posted on Friday, and this is the new kind of shape that they're working with to have the idea of the TikTok logo and be able to frame different stuff. Like I said, you can see it's literally just kind of, they took the TikTok logo and expanded it, did like an offset for it. What do you guys think? Like, I know I kind of already gave away what I thought about it. It's a kind of an ugly shape, right? Like, I guess it's ownable since it's ugly, but like that just, it kind of looks like a mistake to me. It doesn't look like it's reading through. In there, it might kind of look good, but that's because the shape isn't doing the heavy lifting there. The interaction of the photo is. They also go ahead and they start like stretching it out, which like could kind of start looking a little good. But then when they stretch it vertically, I really don't like it. I'm like, that doesn't read, like that just looks confusing to me. We'll see how long they stick to it. We'll see how long they implement it. It'll be hard to also design around it because it's including a lot of like negative space, which then, you know, has to navigate that whole modularity and how that interacts with other objects. But when I saw this kind of changing shape video that they had posted for Etsy, I was like, wow, everyone's just using Illustrator filters for their brand language. Let's see. Seeing a yuck from Jacob in the chat. So I'm guessing that's an agreement with me with the idea that it's kind of just strange. This is a crowd favorite. Apple, who we'll be talking also about in a second because they're celebrating their 50th anniversary, is going hard with the little Finder guy. This guy was really successful on TikTok because, as we talked on a previous episode, TikTok Apple is doing some really weird, I think they called it like Steve Slop, where they're having a lot of fun and moving around with things that aren't necessarily things that Apple has historically posted. They had posted this little cute guy, this Finder friend, and he really took off on the internet. And so I don't know if they had planned to continue to work with this guy or not. But then they have since kind of continued posting a bunch of different videos with him on their TikTok. You can see that even on their grid, they have this kind of thumbnail takeover. It doesn't really work well because it's like shifted, but I'm sure it worked well at one point. That's why I'm never like a fan of the whole like grid on the grid. They are really leaning into it. He's focusing on different features. Like this one is talking about kind of like GarageBand. This might even be like whatever it's called, presentation, Apple presentation. They're talking about how your MacBook also has like a ring light built into it, and really leaning into it. A lot of people are kind of guessing that this might be a precursor to like the AI assistant they have to replace Siri, but that hasn't been announced. We also won't know for another month or two until WWDC happens in June, and so we will just have to wait and see. Then let's keep it talking about Apple here. This is the rebrand and celebration of 50 years. If you go to apple.com, it actually has this really cool animation that I wanted to show you guys. And let's go and check it out by hopping into apple.com. And then you guys can even go there yourself if you'd like. But you can see here that they have like this rainbow, and they're then going through all the different types of history that was also there, starting with their very first personal computers, and then being able to highlight the Finder, or being able to, you know, pull out their monitors or their iPod, and just kind of really play into the idea that all of this was creativity, the brushstroke, enabling artists to be able to achieve really great mastery in a digital sense, but also then looking at all their hardware over the years. Of course, they even have their Vision Pro, which we'll see how long that lasts. But it is part of their history, right? Then, of course, ending in this scribble Apple thing. I think what is really cool about the Apple logo is the fact that they have been successful in really being able to show different styles for it, right? They've been able to consistently and regularly switch out its like form and foundation, and then also still be able to successfully have people be like, yeah, that's Apple logo. You don't even have to say like, wait, what is it? Like, it immediately is the Apple logo. Then Jacobs was saying they objectively have some of the strongest branding, which he thinks is pretty cool. Yes. And Clever is commenting that they said 50 years of thinking different is not good. I'd like it if it were differently. Isn't that a call back to Think Different, which is the very successful Apple campaign from the 90s? Yes, it was. It was one when they took the different, let's see, I'm going to pull it up here without doing. They were able to take a bunch of like famous people, and they kind of just slapped the Apple logo on top of them and had Think Different pop up, and it was extremely successful. It really helped. I mean, it was also kind of coinciding with the return of Steve Jobs, but it was extremely successful, and I think that is why it switches back to Think Different rather than Think Differently. And Oliver is saying that he thinks that they should bring back the rainbow logo. Yeah, I think they do sometimes. Yeah, interesting. Since we're talking about old logos, let's actually talk about Adidas real quick. So this is coming straight from the horse's mouth. That's the saying, right? This is coming straight from the horse's mouth. Adidas says that they will return to the, is it trefoil or trefoil? Okay, we're gonna end the other poll, and I'm gonna ask you guys to see what it is. And by the way, 60% of you are watching tonight, 40% are not watching it. Your homework is that the 40% of you need to please watch it so that I'm not alone, and also I have people to talk to about. So I'm gonna say tree-foil or trefoil. Adidas. Well, you don't say Adidas? It's Adidas, right? It's all day I dream about soccer, right? But what do you say? Adidas? Adidas returns to the trefoil. We're just going to have to cut this out of the restream. But for the FIFA World Cup, they are returning to the launch of having it featured on the away jerseys. And so you can see here that they have the different... Oh, I'm already seeing the winner of it with the votes in the pack. People are saying it's trefoil. The trefoil logo is here in the kind of chest breastplate of being right above the number, which is really interesting. And if you go to their thing, you can get a whole write-up about it and like why and what's going on with it. But the TLDR of it is that the trefoil returns to the FIFA World Cup stage with designs inspired by the 90s aesthetic in which they last appeared 36 years ago. The jerseys offer clean colorways, iconography that celebrates the culture of each nation, and are designed to support performance in warm conditions. All Adidas kits are available to purchase from today at Adidas Retail, select retailers, and online at adidas.com. Alyssa says, I know someone who works at Adidas. Should I ask them real quick? Yeah, Adidas. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Adidas. You guys are having me doubt myself, and that is one of the ones that I'm like pretty confident about. Or at least Adidas. I don't know. Whatever. The trefoil trefoil. Enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts. A little something a little bit closer to home for me. There was a recent launch of a new MTA app for New Yorkers with navigation and better user experience in being able to get people from point A to point B. Up to this point, I've always used Google Maps because the app wasn't good enough. But they launched a new quote unquote best in class MTA app for New York City subway and bus customers. And they put a lot of time and effort into it. You can see here on X that Salzy Mikey said that the MTA actually cooked with this. It even shows you the best cars to be in. So when you're going from left to right, or you have the car, and so when you're getting off of the train, since the train has so many cars, sometimes you get off and you have to walk all the way to the other side of the platform because you're like, oh, I'm going south or I'm going north, and then you have to then figure out like when is the best car to get onto, so that then you don't have to walk as much when you get off, right? This actually shows you in succession of like getting on the train which one is best for you to be able to get off, which is like something that never changes, right? Like it's something that you think like, wow, that's really meticulous, like you really have to think that out, but the idea that it is the same and always will remain the same is super important. And just something that you can update, and if you can, you should, because there are millions of people that are constantly using the subway, and it is just great to see that they're putting some time and effort into it. I'm excited to try it out myself. I also really like the MTA logo animation there at the end. I think that's cute. I think it works well, and I think it's a successful rebrand of an app. So there you go. Okay, guys, I'm pretty sure that is all of our rebrands for today. It is. Oh, nope, I lied. This is from a new Substack that I recently just subscribed to. So huge call out to Richard Baird. He does this latest brands and rebrand launches and right as they come in, and he is also the owner of like the logo archive, so you can go and he actually archives all of this onto a website where then you're able to go and look up by brand, kind of the branding for stuff. Yes, Apple was designed by Bureau Blur with the typefaces Expansion and Perfectica, and it is beautiful. And it is all about apples grown in New York. They have this really beautiful logo. I love this. I mean, the logo is actually the word mark with this really soft serif typeface, and lots of energy with curves moving around. I like the curvature of the Y and the A, but even they go as far as having this curve of the exclamation point. There's also this really nice ligature of the E and the S that if I was designing it, I might have not have necessarily thought to have. You also have this kind of like switch back and forth with the L, which is really pretty. And I just love, I mean, this is what really sold me on it. I love the energy of this, how it fills the space, how everything feels totally warranted. It also still feels like the inside of an Apple. I know exactly what I'm looking at when I'm looking at it. I like that they're using the stickers that you normally would get on top of an apple that you like peel off real quick. And that I'm also looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. It's fun to see it in the iconic, Milton, I Love New York. They have it applied on different applications. I also like the simplicity of the branding and being able to show the apples in a bag like this. I will say, I am normally like way more hesitant to, and I know it's silly, but I'm way more hesitant to like buy an apple out of a bag, because I'm like, why is it not just in a pile? Why do we have them in a bag? And I understand they have to then be able to, relocate them, and they have to be able to manufacture yada da da da. And the branding is beautiful for what it is, but I also am looking at apples and I'm like, why are they in a bag? They don't need to be in a bag. That's extra plastic. But I like, very easy to read. I can tell exactly what type of apple it is immediately. And also has great branding. So that's probably my favorite brand of the week, honestly. So without further ado, we're going to jump over to some news. Some Adobe news to start it off fresh is the 99U conference, which I recently learned I am 99% positive that I'm going to be there. So if you guys have never heard of 99U, It is actually originated, I believe, with Behance, and then once Behance became under Adobe's wing, they were like, "Oh, do we need to do this anymore?" And people were like, "Yes, you still need to do this." But it is backed by popular demand. They said they're continuing their mission to empower creatives of all disciplines to supercharge their careers and make their ideas happen. This year, event marks the 13th edition of Adobe 99U, and in time of rapid industry and cultural change, the event remains a necessary space to discuss the nuances of creative careers and the realities of creative work. Inspiration to execution. So it's going to be at the Perlman Performing Arts Center, which is PAC NYC. There's going to be dialogue, there's going to be talks, there's going to be community, moments of creativity. And you can actually go now and register for a ticket and be able to be kind of first in line here to get done. It's going to be on June 4th, 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So it doesn't have to be like a whole week-long thing. You can see if you can get off work just for it. And it's talking about the changing industry and talking about how, it's not about hype or fear. It's about meeting each other where we are with curious, skeptical, hopeful, or uncertainty. And then it will elevate conversations from the Adobe Creative Collective, which is a newer, we reported on it a few months ago, which is a newer dynamic group of creative leaders that are meant to kind of talk back and forth and have honest conversations. So that link is in the raindrop if you are interested in attending or getting registered for the event. This is some Apple news, some Instagram news coming from some reporting by Brock Johnson. He found a video from Jonah Manzano on X. And if you guys remember the spectacles that came out with Snapchat like over 10 years ago, you remember that one of the key features of those spectacles was the fact that they solved for the framing issue by going and making it so that when you rotate your phone, it also can rotate it. And I guess it essentially worked it so that the sensor of it just kind of created a square video that was then kind of like, or like a circle video, honestly. So that way it then can continue to show different parts of the image. They're doing the same thing now on Instagram, as Instagram loves to do, by going and making this the capability of stories that are added if you record them on the Meta glasses. Now you see that I think it's a feature you can turn on and off. It obviously will add a lot of interactivity, especially in the beginning parts of it. You can see here that there's a little icon for it to be able to identify that is possible. But I think that a big part of it is also like people will be holding their phones and they'll move a little bit and they'll be like, whoa, wait, what's up with that? And then you kind of get special engagement and a double take on your content because all of a sudden it's moving in a way that you were not anticipating for it to move. As far as like being creators and artists and framing your work in the way that you want it to be framed, it makes it a little difficult. But I think a lot of times when you're doing things with glasses anyway, you're not entirely thinking about that, right? I think you're mostly just trying to capture content or the idea of whatever you're looking at. So you're not necessarily looking at it through a viewfinder. But it definitely is something that you kind of lose control over if you have no control over the framing of it. Moving on. This is frame rate. So Vimeo for the longest time was the go-to spot for motion designers. This is a article that was posted just a few days ago, I think yesterday actually. And Frame Rate is a new site that was actually created by motion designers for motion designers, and they had an interview with the creator to see why they were doing it. It says that Frame Rate is a video hosting platform and community where creative professionals celebrate craft and find their people. Everyone can create a free account to participate in the community. They said that they started it because Vimeo long ago pivoted to focusing on enterprise clients, and now that they were acquired, it seems very uncertain for the platform in the long term. So Instagram and YouTube have then also gone towards the TikTok route, and so the idea of like where do motion designers go for being able to post portfolio work and being able to like this is where I'm working from a video-based platform. Now they are accepting anyone to sign up. You have to then also, I think, apply for early access to be able to upload anything yourself. You can find me though on it. I'm just Ryan Selvy, and I have 2 whole followers. So it's a really big deal, and I'm excited to see collection of people that are all kind of, coming around one idea, especially because like when you get people who are specialized in one field all talking in one room, it's always really rewarding. And they're also going to create features that are good for those groups. I didn't realize how many Instagram stories I had this week, but this one is coming from Tech Brew. Instagram is testing premium subscriptions. I'm so sorry, everybody. And I know there's already like Meta verified and stuff, but these are ones that actually are like unlocking different account capabilities. And like I know that one of them is anonymous story viewing. So if you feel like you're somebody who is always looking at people's stuff and like I don't want people to see that I'm looking at this, I guess this could work for you. It's not testing in America yet. It's only testing in the Philippines, Mexico, and Japan to decide what users will actually pay for. And it says that the core app will always stay free, but it's just a way to unlock extra tools, customization, and more control. And yeah, I'll be interested to see if this controls things. Longer story lifespans is also interesting if you want to make it longer than a 24 hours, but then it's like, at that point, is it also going to get buried, or are they going to then also prioritize people that have that? And then also, is it a pay to play where like, I mean, Instagram already kind of is a pay to play, but I'm not sure. Alyssa says, everyone like this video, please. Yes, thank you. Help out our algorithm here on YouTube. More Adobe news is an update to Adobe Neo. Adobe Neo is Project Neo is the browser-based 3D creation software that is constantly, it's still a project, so they're still working on it constantly, but about a week or two ago they announced capabilities to go and actually implement 2D layers on your 3D forms. So rather than having to hop out and hop back in to different programs to be able to have that interaction of 3D and 2D, this is the one that is actually going to have you be able to have them interact. There's also some really cool stuff of like features that happen in Neo with 3D objects that then can be applied to 2D objects, kind of like this way of when you're bringing shapes together and it's able to melt together, which is really cool. If you guys are interested in learning about all the particulars and learning more about the update, Caleb Gonya on YouTube, which is KalebGonyea, has created a nice video, which is the one that I'm kind of scrolling through here. It's like, I think like 20 minutes long or so. And he goes through all the new features and all the ways that you can use it piece by piece. And he does a really good job at laying it out. So make sure you check it out and let me know what you think. And if you guys create some cool 3D stuff. Let's talk about Turntable, which launched in the public build last week. This is something that was in Adobe Sneaks during Max, and then it was like out in the beta, and everyone made a bunch of stuff about it. But now we are officially at the point where it is finally in the public build. I did a stream yesterday with Adam the Illustrator, and we talked all about it and how he uses it in his workflow. It uses AI to be able to fully rotate a image in 360 and create vectors for every single spot, which is really helpful for if you have something just slightly off and you don't have to take the time to be able to move things around. It also gives you capabilities to create 3D turnarounds. Maybe that's something that you're working on for either like to hand off to an animator, or maybe it's something that you are handing off to production because you're like creating a plushie or a vinyl toy. Obviously, with it, you're going to always want to go through and make sure that it updates the way you want, but it also gives you the capabilities to look down and look up at the character as well. It's not only just left and right. It does go fully 360, as you can see now, which wasn't always part of it, but now you can. Yeah, this is from Michael Fugoso. So I'm glad that he posted about it. Make sure you check out his Instagram and give him a like. And then this one is news, but it is also a resource. This is coming to us from Jake in Motion. Jake in Motion created a plugin, and this is not an April Fool's joke. By the way, when I was putting everything together this week to be able to figure out what the news was, I was like, I really hope I don't accidentally report on anything that is actually an April Fool's joke, because as you guys know, things get really sloppy on April Fools, especially in the tech world, and people like launch things. Google has specifically gone through a lot and like launched things as a joke, and then they become so popular that then they're like, oh, actually, here it is as a full feature. I think The Verge has a full article right now about all the different good and bad April Fool's jokes that are going on. Also, hello to Keys. Welcome on in. So this is an update that you can buy right now for $38. Not sponsored, just thought it was really interesting. Coming from Jake in Motion. You guys might know Jake in Motion because if you ever look for an effect on YouTube, the way that he kind of rose to fame was he created a video for every single effect in After Effects and walked you through the nooks and crannies and everything in between of every single thing. And so he is very familiar with the program. He is an industry leader, and he just recently announced this, it's essentially bringing Premiere into After Effects. So I feel bad about almost like reporting on this because I also don't know if I should suggest that you guys even do this because obviously that's not what the program is made for. But there are some instances where it's just like, why is it not a singular thing like Premiere is? And you're like, I just want to edit this small video that is only a few seconds long. I don't want to bring it between Premiere and After Effects. I just want to stay in one program. You can use Railcut. The cool thing about it too is the way that he designed it is that if you're working across teams with other people who are also using After Effects and they don't have Railcut, it is fine. It actually still keeps the project as a singular After Effects project. And then you don't have to worry about it like not being converted to other people. When they open it, they won't see the Railcut interface, but they will just continuously see kind of like the non-destructive capacities of being able to use it. You can see here that's kind of what he is showcasing. You can see that like it is giving him the user interface of showing it as like a Premiere of like left to right. But then if you were to hop out of it and you hop into your timeline, it is a bunch of compositions that they have and they're going up in succession in the same way that you would normally see it in After Effects. But obviously the more sources you have, the farther it gets apart in the way you can't see it because After Effects is not made to be a Premiere, but sometimes you just need it like that. So he was able to create it. And since he's a motion designer, he's designing with motion designers in mind. Right now it has a launch price sale that's going on, I think, for the next few days, which will make it only $38. After that, it's going to be $48, so you can save $10 on it, and you can see if it gets in. Like I said, though, I am not responsible for if you start editing everything in After Effects because there are definitely means to use Premiere when it's time to use Premiere. Before we hop over to Font of the Week, because I know we're tight on time, I just want to do a quick reminder that we are also publishing this as a podcast. You can see that I upload the edited versions of a video down to the podcast, which you can get wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a video podcast on Spotify and on iTunes and what have you. Also, I want to point out that I also am experimenting with the idea of re-uploading the video to
There's
YouTube
a lot going on
as well. And so this is the cut down from last week. You can see that I do a few things that like I'll add if I go back in and I like need clarification. I'll do some like overlays and stuff, or I'll even go full screen. But you can find it on both the Adobe Live channel and my channel, Ryan Selvy on YouTube. And you can see that this is only 19 minutes and 48 seconds long. So if you want to get out all my rambling and you also want to get out all the stuff in between, this is a really easy way to be able to go and get all the content that you need, but not have to sit through a full hour. That said, I love it when you guys are here and I love being able to talk to you. So I hope that if you do that, you still come on Wednesdays. But do me a favor, if you're not already subscribed to me on YouTube, please go ahead and do that. This is the wrong schedule. I guess I should also say that this is a great time to call out that the schedule for this week looks like this. Right now, we are at the Week's Best Branding with File New, Ryan Selvy. And this is a second show of today. Right after this, we're going to have CA and LA right here on YouTube, so you don't have to go anywhere. Tomorrow, they have the Art of the Edit. I'm hosting Finn Hanley, which will be exciting. Then we have Photo Composites. We have Smarter Brand Color Decisions, and also On the Spot with Magdiel Lopez. On Friday, we have our TikTok streams, and then 2 streams actually going on YouTube between Creativity, Learning, and Mental Health and Kids, which is our EDU stream, and then Celebrate School Library Month with Creative Projects at 11 a.m. So loaded week for you guys. And also, I hope you guys hop into the Discord, be able to talk about stuff. We've got File New and other things that are all right there in the chat. But we got about 5 minutes left, so I think now is the time to hop into Font of the Week. If you're new here, Font of the Week is the section of the show that we have every week, and we pick 3 fonts from Adobe Fonts. We explore their use cases, we look at their style, we look at how many weights they have, and their studios, their type foundries, and then we then vote. We put it up to the audience as to who is the winner of the week. You're able to then go and actually access all the winners in the Raindrop, which is where we have the links for all of the episodes, but it also has a dedicated Hall of Fame for a bunch of the winners. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the poll up on YouTube. So if you're on Behance, make sure you go ahead and you pop on over to YouTube. But this week we have Nougat Script. We have MVP Dovetail. And also I thought about Nougat when I said Nougat, because I'm like, is that another one people are going to say that I'm saying wrong? Also, I'm wondering if Alyssa, if you heard back from your friend about how we say Adidas. But then we have Nougat, MVP Dovetail, and Mercado Variable. So the poll is up. We're going to be going through to then see what is what and then talk about it. And then we'll declare a winner right at the end. So Nougat Script, right? It only comes in one font as far as Adobe's font system and being able to merge them onto your own system. But it's coming to us from Aldis de Losa from Suditipos. And you can see it is a heavy font, so it's going to be definitely for your displays, your posters. You could do branding with it. It's got some cool cuts into the letters here. So looking at the A and the H here, you can see that there's cutting to then create a little bit more legibility. I like how they have the cuts into the P's here, being able to connect letters like the A goes straight in. I do think from a critical lens that this LW is not as legible as it probably should be. I think the fact that it leans over helps create a singular, if you squint, a singular letter form and a word block, but it also kind of looks like a weird letter where you're like, is that a double W? Is that a new letter that we have? It doesn't read as well because it mimics the other side of the W too much. I do think that even if you have it in kind of a more heavier body, I don't want to say body because this should not be body. Please never put this in body copy. But in a paragraph form, I think it can work as long as it's intentional and it is limited in its capacity. This is, 10 lines of text. I think that going more than 10, it would just be kind of insane. But it's fun. It is quirky. It's soft. It's nice. I like how the R is looking over the O. So they have thought about how the letters interact. I think sometimes they're more successful than others. I don't necessarily like the O when it doesn't have anything to connect to, but I do like the O when it connects to the V here. But the O to the G, I think it's a little strange. But I'm also influencing how you guys are voting, so I don't know. So Alyssa's saying, ooh, she's a cutie. Yeah, she is a cutie. And yeah, so let's move on from that onto the next one. Winner does say she likes the curves of this. Yeah, which the curves are nice. We love curves. Then we have MVB Dovetail. I'm trying to say MVP. And you can see that this is designed by David Sudweeks from MVB Fonts, and it says that it is an editorial-focused text serif designed by David Sudweeks. It says the working idea for the typeface came from a design school letter-making exercise by taking a pair of scissors and a few large sheets of paper and start cutting. The resulting letters and the action itself of cutting them out of paper informed the type design process. Producing strong, simple shapes and an open, inviting texture. It is crisp and straightforward. Its classic letter forms set off with a touch of playfulness, give the design both a practical and spontaneous personality. The text weights capably set copy at a variety of sizes for print and render crisply on screen. Its latest and heaviest weights perform best at display sizes. Care has been taken to save the typographer's time, and OpenType features including contextual punctuation and symbols to fit mixed case, small caps, and all cap settings, as well as figure sets tuned to each use. So it has lots of flexibility. It could be used really tiny. It can be used really big. It can be used. This one definitely has body copy. If you're writing a book, this can be your book. It will feel professional without feeling like Times New Roman or Georgia. Like it feels like its own thing. I'm like imagining this like very much of like a Huckleberry Finn. I feel like would be like written in something like this, something that is like, like this is like American literature, I think that the italics that it has works well. I think it has a lot of strong personality when it gets heavier too. Like I like the V, the I's too. You guys know I'm a sucker for kind of this like whip in, whip out mentality. It's also there with the L. I like how it's like rigid and sharp at the top, but curvy on the bottom. So they do a really good job of being able to merge these two ideas of rigid and curvy. I know one of the ones we had last week was also that, and I called it out too. I think that's just really pretty. And then finally, we have Mercado Variable, and this is coming to us from Malchalski. This is from Matus Malchalski. This is a marker price tag looking font. It looks like somebody kind of hand wrote it, but also has these really strong cutouts. Second one of the day that has cutouts in it, but you can see it cuts out into the R, but it also juts out beyond parts of it. It also has this idea of like an extended marker stroke of the E. And this cutout is also kind of just an idea of like this being 3 strong strokes of someone going through in and out. I think the O is fun too. It's a variable font, so you can bring it in and out. But it's a headline family of typefaces inspired by hand-painted price tags. The idea for this family was born a few years ago in South America. He wanted to create a typeface that's written, expressive, and organic on the one hand and thrown into a geometric frame on the other. So yeah, I think it's very cool. Used in, limited case, I think it can be nice and loud and also add a lot of personality without it also feeling, like Comic Sans and the idea of like a handwritten thing. But these are our 3 ones. So we've got, once again, Mercado, Dovetail, and Nougat Script. This is the only one that doesn't have Nougat Script written, its title like written as a thing. But where did our crown go? Guys, all right. Well, you guys keep voting. I gotta go make sure that I grab our crown because it's not a true winner if there is no crown on the winner of the font of the week. So I'll give you guys a little bit more time to vote. And then right up after this, we're gonna have our CA and LA friends join us. So you'll be able to hop right on over to there. I have recovered the crown. Fear not. So here we go. And I'm going to declare a winner. So without further ado, guys. Gavril says, sorry, guys, the crown is on my head. Yeah, no. Who stole it? Roscoe, probably. Let's be real. It's a tie, so someone needs to vote. Thank you, CV Girl. Are you guys going to make me vote? Do I agree with who's going to win? Let's see. Right now, it is a tie for Nougat and MVB. And it looks like the win. Oh. You guys are trolling me. You guys are like turning it on and off. All right. Ending the poll. And the winner of this week's Font of the Week belongs to drum roll. Nougat Script. The one that doesn't have the thing on it. So that means that when people are looking through their stuff, they're not going to be able to figure it out. But I'll go ahead and I will add this to the Font of the Week winners for you guys. I'll also be sure to put this raindrop in the description for you. And I'll also put it in the podcast description as well. So we're going to take Nougat, put Font of the Week winners. By the way, I'm going to go to share, copy this URL for you guys. Put that in there for you. And then Font of the Week winners looks like this, which I think should actually already be in the description. But if it's not, I'll update it to be that way. Like I said, guys, do me a favor, follow me on Instagram and YouTube. My name is Ryan Selvy, RyanSelvy. Thank you for joining me for File New, your weekly update on designer and creator news. I'd love to hear about what you guys would like to see, so feel free to email me or pop into Discord if you have any stories that come up. And I will see you guys in the same time, same place next week. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Bye. I keep forgetting to change this. I'm going to turn this off right now so that I do not forget to change this anymore, because it's embarrassing. You also get to see me be like, whew, that was a stream. Oh.